See, I come from a journalistic background with very eclectic interests, and communication is obviously my primary interest. One of my interests is sports and cricket, especially. And I used to write a cricket column in a newspaper, a weekly cricket column. I followed the game very, very closely since my childhood. Now, one of the things that used to bug me while writing these cricket columns was that there was a very one-sided, hyped up view being projected about a sporting icon who is a great player, no doubt, Sachin Tendulkar. But in everything in life, there are different views. I mean, we are at a literary festival right now, Bangalore Literature Festival, so many different views are being presented. But if you go out to the market and look for a book that answers some difficult questions that are raised from time to time about Sachin Tendulkar, did he play for himself or did he play for the team? Was he sometimes selfish and did the team suffer as a result? These are unpleasant questions, no doubt, but for somebody who is the greatest sporting icon in the country, for not a single book to be in the market which takes a critical view of him, I thought that was not cricket. Cricket is a game where people like to have debates and questions. So I wrote this book, Master Laster, and the subtitle of the book is What They Don't Tell You About Sachin Tendulkar. And when I say what they, by they I mean many writers who are good writers, but somehow there's such a marketing and hyped up environment surrounding this great player, because when he arrived on the scene at the end of the 80s, one day cricket was just getting going in India and television had just come into the picture. And you know how it is in TV, you need advertisers, you need somebody to pull in the eyeballs. So he was made into this larger than life figure, and that kind of built and built and built. Even the official commentators, the Indian official TV commentators, they are directly involved in promoting and marketing him as a brand. So it became more about the Tendulkar brand than Tendulkar the cricketer. I am a writer and a sports fan, and I felt that sports fans would enjoy at least one contrarian book to be out there, and that's why I wrote this book, Master Laster. I have refrained from all temptations to hit below the belt. I have stuck to data. Luckily, every scorecard from his very first test match to the end is available for study by anybody who wants to dispute the facts raised in this book. This book is basically taking a, it takes a, I mean, I've tried to write it in easy to read prose, but it uses a lot of data. And data is important because, I mean, you, Raghiv, if I can address you, if you are working in a job, though that job will define certain parameters for your success. These number of interviews you have to do, these many viewers should come on to these interviews, and these should be the results of these interviews. So many authors should come into the public view who have never come before them earlier. Now, if these are the metrics on which you are being judged, they are result oriented. Now, we are talking about a team game, but most of the metrics in cricket are how many centuries has he made in 24 years, how many runs has he made in 24 years. Does that matter to a game right now? Right now, what matters is how are you performing now, and are you doing what the team needs for you to win the game? That is all there is to it. Now, applying different yardsticks gives a very different assessment of a player. This is not unique in that sense. Moneyball is a very famous book which took a different view of baseball and completely changed the game, because the way players were being assessed in the baseball league changed after Moneyball came out. I felt cricket needs a new scorecard which puts team goals as the first criterion. So if you're scoring a century against Bangladesh and the team is ending up losing, then I would like to know, did that century contribute to the loss? I think it did. The second half of that century by Tendulkar, which was his 100th century, took longer than the first 50. That should not happen. When the team has lost only 1 wicket and you're going between the 30th and 40th overs and up to the 50th over, you should be accelerating your scoring rate. How can a player slow down? And in between his 94 and his 100, those 6 runs took some 13 balls spread over some 3 or 4 overs. These things are troubling, and I feel that a picture of Tendulkar which is just hyped up is not fair. It's not fair to the cricketing public. It's not fair to Tendulkar himself, because he is just presented as this brand Tendulkar who will keep smiling on TV, and everyone will say goody things on TV about him, and everyone will write goody books about him. We are dealing with New India. Yesterday I was in a panel discussion at the Bangalore Literature Festival, where we were discussing, can India change its mindset? Can we criticize a sporting icon, please, in this country? We are a free country. We are not like China. We have a lot to learn from China, but in this country, debate is welcome. That is one of the joys of being in this country, and that's why I have written this book. I have got a lot of flack because obviously he has great fans, and I have admired his batting. I mean, don't make any mistake. This book makes it very clear that I think in terms of his cricketing technique and in terms of the sheer joy of watching some of his strokes, I have enjoyed him probably more than most of you, because I have watched him right from the beginning. From the time he entered the scene, I have been watching him, and I have thoroughly enjoyed the skills that he brings to the cricket field. But over the last half of his career, or a little more than half, he was so focused on his milestones, on his brand, on the Tendulkar build-up, that many times team goals took a back seat. And for somebody who understands the game carefully, I could see it happening. Finally, I wrote this book, and in this book, chapter by chapter, every aspect of his game is analyzed with sheer data. There is nothing personal. There is maybe a word has slipped in somewhere which I shouldn't have. I am not perfect, but I have tried very hard, very hard to stick to the facts and discuss games, which as followers of cricket, that's what we enjoy doing. That's what this book is about. I think the right word to describe this book would be contrarian. It's not negative, because there are a lot of things about Tendulkar which I have explained over here, the reasons for his success, which maybe people who are not that intensely clued into the game may not understand. What does it take for somebody to survive for 24 years in international cricket? What is the discipline that it takes? What does it take to recover from injuries like a broken toe bone, tennis elbow, a bad back, and to keep coming back? What is the mental attitude that you require to keep coming back and keep doing it? Even at the end, when it came to retirement, he was playing in the Ranji Trophy because he wanted to finish on a high note. But the point is that one can't just talk only about those things. That is what this book is about. This book is about no holds barred. It is written without limits. It is not that I can only say positive things about Tendulkar and nothing else, which is what an advertiser will tell me if I am doing a program for TV, maybe. This book is independent. I am taking a critical view which is both positive and negative. It is contrarian to everything out there. That is true, because nobody else has criticized him in public. I don't know why. I don't want to speculate why, but that is the fact. You will not find another book in the market which criticizes him. That is true, but it is not a negative book. See, you can ask me about inferences from data, but you can't question the data. The data is out there. You can ask me whether I've used the data selectively, only picked what is convenient to me, but that argument doesn't hold much, because this is just one book out of hundreds written on Tendulkar. If you want to know what all he has achieved, there's more than enough. I mean, this is a drop in the ocean compared to all the positive statements made on him. So, it is not selective use of data in that sense. What I have done, more than inference, is asked the right questions, according to me, to assess a player. That is subjective. I have chosen these questions to ask because and I have explained clearly in the book what are my criteria. For me, the definitive innings for a test player is to go and make a century in the second innings of a test match that India wins outside the subcontinent. Has Tendulkar ever done that in 24 years? No, not a single time. To score more than 50 runs in the second innings in a test match outside the subcontinent to help the team win the game, has Tendulkar ever done it in his career? Not once. You won't believe it, because nobody asked these questions. I asked them. Then I looked at who has done it. VVS Lakshman has done it 4 times. Rahul Dravid has done it 3 times. Nobody talks about them. To me, there can be no greater achievement. How many times does India win a test match outside the subcontinent in the last 20, 24 years? You know, kind of team that we had, the kind of support that it gets, we should have been winning much more. We don't. So I feel, you know, though that if VVS Lakshman makes 30 runs in a team total of 100, that counts for more than most centuries by people. And if you make it in South Africa and we end up winning that match, that is of far greater value than you make hundreds of centuries in Sharjah. I mean, so what? You know, you make hundreds of centuries against Bangladesh. So what? This makes a difference. And to me, those you know, criteria are. It's important to define what your scorecard is. You know, yesterday I spoke to Arun Maira, who was talking about a book called Redesigning an Aeroplane While Flying. It's nothing about aeroplanes. That book is about transforming capitalism and how to, you know, you have to look beyond GDP and other measures. How do you assess a country's progress? You have to look at things like gross national happiness. So I've looked at different criteria to assess a player, and it is for you to judge whether those criteria are right or wrong, whether it's complete or incomplete. That's the fun of cricket, right? You have debates and as Indians we like to argue, so let's argue about it.